Hello everyone, Rare Model Reviews here, and today we have the long, well at least long for me, but definitely awaited Eva Unit-04. And this time it's the real great version. Now for those of you who don't know, this is not the first time they've ever made a model of the Eva Unit-04. There was one done around when a TV show came out, if I'm not mistaken. That's kind of a special release, but surprise, surprise, now they're doing a Bandai version. So, first and foremost, going into colors here, well, its appearance in general, it looks identical to Unit 3, except the color is different. This, of course, being a P Bandai release, this thing uses predominantly all of the pieces from Unit 3. But of course, most of it is silver now, with a little bit of a black and this burgundy kind of a color with it. Now, before we get into anything here, I just want to say that this thing has a lot. Now, when I say a lot, I mean a lot of leftover plates. So as you can see here, they did something very strange with the construction kit, where there was multiple different plates of the same for the same parts, and as a result you can do a lot of like kind of mix and match with the pieces. For example, these here are alternate parts for the teeth. Show this again if you didn't make out, but like this here, these are alternate parts for the little piece and arm. So if you wanted, you could kind of look through all the plates and like just kind of like pick and choose what colors you wanted to have for all kinds of like pieces on this this kit. Like for example, once again, if you wanted, you could make that little piece of the forearm there burgundy instead of white. Then you have right here, I think these are for the legs here. You can make this same kind of silver as the thighs here, instead of making it that gray instead. Which I actually like because it makes it pop a little more. That's kind of what real grade's always supposed to be about, you know, making those different colors that kind of, you know, make it look more realistic, you know. Sometimes they don't use the same exact kind of style. I believe these are for the neck. So you can make it have an orange neck if you didn't want a purple one. This is a weird one. This is actually like a little insert piece for the gun. I'll get into that later though. Again, these are for the legs. Like, you kind of start to get where I'm going with this, but there's just a lot of alternate pieces. And actually some of them I actually kind of messed up on, because again, there's just so many of these alternate pieces everywhere that I start messing up and putting on the wrong color that the extraction calls for. Of course, it's not gonna mess up the construction, it's the fact that it's not the color they tell you to. For example, these were for like the crotch area. You can't tell if I'll jump it up my hand. This is for the chest there. Or actually, no, I think it's for the back, yeah. Yeah, this one called for this part, and I believe this part here too, to be silver. I messed up and I made it black instead, which again, it's not the big deal. These kind of helps break up the monotony of just being all silver, but I might maybe try to go back and change some of these parts out, make them silver, especially the arms here. I prefer these to be more silver than just blacks. First of all the Ava's arms are kind of black. I think Unit 3 is the only one that's not. Maybe Unit 2 in one arm, but moving on now. So there is a bit more I want to get into with Unit 4 accessory-wise rather than articulation. So I'm going to kind of briefly go over it while I'm talking about it. For example, again, since this is only a color swap of Unit 3, which Unit 3 used a lot of pieces from Unit 1, there are still some of the main issues you get with the other Avas, such as this piece right here coming out when you try to move it and whatnot. The legs still kind of feel loose because they have this little track type joint, but I feel like I at least built the legs a bit better than I did with Unit 3, because this is my second Ava I've ever built, not owned. So I kind of understand the construction a little better. So from what I found, during the instruction, it called for you to kind of put this piece in between the crouch here, then twist it up to kind of lock it in place. I find the best way to do it is to grab it at the base of the little peg here in the leg. I guess base would be the word you use. And kind of use that to kind of add some leverage to twist it. As before, I used it by the I guess you call it the tip of the peg, and that didn't give me enough traction at all. So I ended up having to put the leg in and twist it that way. And again, I don't think that quite worked out right. So the leg in Unit 3 feels a little loose. Maybe I'll take it apart and try to fix that. Another thing I want to mention, you guys probably wouldn't be able to notice, but I don't know what it is. Maybe I built something wrong, but this left ankle here, this piece does not want to stay in flush. So it results in this thing loosening up and wanting to fall out a lot of times we move it. So I got to do something about that. I feel like that's just a bad egg on my part, because again, the right ankle doesn't have that issue. But again, if you've seen any other Eva review, or if you've seen my Unit 3 review, articulation is exactly the same. Still fantastic, by the way. Articulation is not this thing's weak point at all. Again, with me building this thing better than the last one, these shoulder binders feel like they're on a lot better. Then again, I think that's because I made sure they were in all the way this time. I actually kind of went back and tried to tighten up Unit 3s that I have a knowledge of how some of these pieces should be. And but yeah, again, like this thing could do anything Unit 3 can do, but it does have, I guess you'll say, some more accessories or whatever. Again, like I said, well, boy, I try to get that out real quick, but I'm just gonna kind of briefly go over some of the stuff, kind of catch some of you guys up who haven't seen Unit 3 review. But again, if you want a more in detail look at some of the stuff, check that out. But otherwise, yeah, as you can see, still has the knives in there. Those binders still open up to reveal the knives. And first accessory, we have the umbilical cord, which you can indeed attach to this piece in the back here. Unfortunately, it doesn't stay in very well. As usual, I say that and then it stays on, but that's going to eventually fall off, or I could just take it off. But as you've seen before, the mouth can move there. This piece in the back here opens up to reveal that there is an entry plug in there. I'd have to kind of get some tweezers to take that out. Honestly, I should have brought some. I always forget to bring tweezers, and then stuff like that pops up and like, shoot. But I already kind of showed it off. We have these additional progressive knives here. I did put the sticker on, but there's a sticker to give it like a little silver edge. Again, if you've seen Unit 3, I put that sticker on so you get a bit of a reference on how that look. Unfortunately, these do not fold. I wish they did. I'm sure they could have done it. They just kind of cheaped out on that. It's not a big deal, but yeah. Now, these look a little Spartan to you, it's because these little pieces here for the knuckles, I don't know what it is, but these things do not want to stay on. I thought maybe I might have been using the wrong one, but as you can see, that one falls right out. I go get the other one. I'm like spinning it around to make absolutely sure, you know, I'm not putting the wrong one in. Again, it falls right out. So these are holding the hand just fine, sure, but geez. Yeah, that little piece does not want to stay in, so I'm gonna have to use some putty or super glue or something to get that in. But again, the knife at least stays in the hand when you do put it in just fine. But yeah, those little white knuckle pieces are not going to go in. So again, for the next weapon, we have the pallet rifle. And this is what I meant before when I was talking about that piece. The alternate purple piece you could put in there. They called for the orange one, and I agree with that one because the purple would probably look a little crazy. But much like the other accessories, you hold in the little wrist there, put it right in. And again, holds in just fine. And there is an alternate hand for if you wanted to put this thing in the left hand as well. And of course, all these weapons are like literally the same as each other. So if you wanted, you could get an additional pallet rifle from the other Evas and dual wield. And one thing I also want to note for any of you who like want to be picky and make sure your Evas are holding the right weapon. Aside from Unit 4 here, the pallet rifle, this little piece here will always be the same color as the neck. This one called for a purple neck, but it did have alternate pieces for an orange neck. So technically, you know, that's the right or whatever. So again, going on for, see, this is what I meant by that loose ankle. Couldn't even, had to tighten it up to stand them up. But yeah, This thing comes with 2 of everything except for the pallet rifle. So that means it comes with multiple hands. You've seen the relaxed hands I had in. We have, these are supposed to be running hands, but they're kind of like karate chop hands to me. You have kind of these, dare I say, grasping hands. Maybe these are more relaxed hands. But we also have another, these kind of look more kind of crawling hands. These would be great for like if you want to do some bestial type poses with the Evas. And then of course we have fists. So this thing has like a wide range of hands to help make out just about any other pose. And one funny thing I want to mention is they add an additional piece for these knuckles, literally just for the next accessory I'm going to get into, which will be its shield. So I don't know what this thing's called. It just refers to it as a shield in the menu, but it's kind of like a clear version of shield of virtue, call it. But yeah, these were they added the extra plate just for the little white knuckles on it, which I found kind of funny. But now I have the hands pre-mounted in here. You can slide these right in because there's a little hole, if you can make that out, that you just slide the hands into. Sometimes if they're giving you some trouble, you're gonna have to break the hands apart and then kind of slap them on together onto the shield. But there's a couple things I want to go over through with the shield. So I'm gonna hope I can do them without any of the technical difficulties I always seem to get into when I do stuff like this. But hopefully this is as simple as me just putting the hands in, because I really don't want to spend like 5 minutes trying to get these hands in like I was when I was playing around with this thing earlier. Also wanted to mention, I know I said I was going to get this review out like Tuesday, and sure enough the hand comes out. Ugh. But I ended up having to do some overtime, and this thing, I couldn't run through building this thing as fast as I wanted to, so I had to take a break and build it the next day. And I just ended up doing a review today because I had stuff to do yesterday as well. And again, I needed some time to play it anyway. Of course, this happens. Oh gosh, these hands don't want to stay in, and then you move stuff around. This happens. Yep, try to avoid this and it still happens. Yeah, you kind of gotta freaking hold the hands in the place and put this in. It's a pain to do, but you can't pull it off. So, think it's on. Please tell me you're on. Yes, it's on. So again, it's a little awkward to do. You gotta really fiddle around with it, but you can have it hold the shield up with both hands. And besides the fact that, again, that little loose waist, because of the little swivel mechanism, he can hold it and stand up just fine. I'm not doing that again, by the way. I'm gonna take this hand out. There we go. And oof. I was gonna, well, you see it kind of held it with one hand just fine, but for those of you who are curious, if you want to kind of hold it with one hand, Gundam style, as you can see, he can't do it. No issue at all. This shield is very light, as you can see. Hold it up in the air like that. Move it over and stuff like this. And again, it holds it up, well, more or less just fine. Maybe this piece got kind of loosened up. I don't know. So I held it like this before earlier, no problem. But, you know, again, it holds it up pretty well, like I was saying there. So there's no issues with that. And one thing I did want to test is we have the Shield of Virtue from Unit 3. Geez, I guess it doesn't matter, but I'm pretty sure, well, no, actually, I think these hands are different, but they're reminiscent to the ones Unit 3 had with these Unit 0 hands. So I'm curious to see if these will hold in just fine as well. So I know some people love the plug and play and whatnot, some of these kits, so let's see if this thing can fit in. And yeah, it looks like it. So if you wanted to, you could have Unit 4 playing around with their Shield of Virtue as well. Oh, if you can get the stay in, of course. Jeez, even the knuckle fell out that time. What happened with that one? Yeah, so you kind of have this guy with 2 shields now if you want it. Although this one doesn't kind of stay in quite right, but hey, you can hold it. And I'm sure it'll be the same way with the bottom half too if you want it. So we got a little bit of time here. So I'm honestly kind of done with this review at this point. I'm gonna just do some size comparisons, give my final thoughts. Just bear with me here. Fortunately, these things kind of hand grenade when it comes to trying to hold a shield. This is gonna be a nightmare to put in. I don't know if I want to do this. Oh boy, we're gonna try it though. Maybe it might be as hard as I think it is. All right. So yeah, it's in there. So yeah, like again, you have to kind of play around with it, but for the most part, I said these Evas have amazing plug and play, so you can really fiddle around. And I don't know why this is giving me a lot of issues getting this thing in here, but you can fiddle around with these things and interchange just about any accessory. But yeah, so I'm gonna try to stand him up as best as I can. Ankle straightened up. So I'm gonna try to put Unit 3 on his left, I think it says. So as you can see, of course, obviously they're gonna be the same size, they're the same kit, but I'm gonna also throw in a Kotobukiya kit here, which is the Unit 8 Gamma. The Kotobukiya kits I find are a little bit bigger, but if I had the real grade Unit 8, I'm sure it'd be the same size. Or that one would be the Gamma. But I'm gonna kind of get this one out of here for a second. Zoom these two up. But again, as you can just see, just by looking at the two of them, like again, they look exactly the same. It's just the color scheme is different. Well, and I have this one decaled up as well. So, I mean, they're both from the North America branch of Nerv, so naturally they're gonna basically be twins. There's some subtle differences in colors and whatnot, but you know, they're literally the same. Both have the same T-Rex head. And I mean, again, that's basically it. I'm gonna throw him aside because now he's not important. But yeah, going on with my final verdict though. Oh, actually, no, that is one thing I almost forgot to mention. When I was doing a review of this guy, he's supposed to have some pieces he's supposed to put over the eyes. I lost them. They're really tiny, and they basically went in by friction, but that's basically the only difference between the two. They both come with shields. This one will come with the eyes instead. But as for whether I recommend this thing, I definitely will. It only cost about $70, which I believe is basically the average price all these Evas come for. I think Unit 0 and 1, maybe even 2, might have been a little cheaper, like 50 or 60, because they kind of forced you to have the DX version of this one with the shield. I wish they came out with a version that didn't have the shield, so it'd be a little cheaper. And they released the shield separately as well. I believe they did that with Unit 0 and 1, where you could buy the positron cannon and the platform by themselves as well. But again, this thing is just like every other Eva, which is solid. You know, great posability and detail, great accessories. It's just, again, it's just a matter of whether you like the way this thing looks, and especially if you already have a Unit 3, you know, does this clear shield justify buying it? Because that's basically what you're buying this thing for. If you wanted to, you could just go get a Unit 3 and just color this thing silver if you if you like the way it looks. You don't necessarily have to get this thing. So it's a P Bandai kit. So it's not more expensive than normal kits. It's just the fact it's more rare than normal kits. So if you're trying to get this thing aftermarket, some jerk's gonna try to charge double amount for it, which is understandable. They're trying to make money off of it. But you know, if you want something from the source for it to be that original price, it might be kind of hard to even find, and you might have to resort to that. But I'm sure this thing will come back on sale on P Bandai. Give it like a month to give it like 6 months to a year, and it'll show back up. So just if you want this thing, keep your eyes peeled for that. And especially if you don't have an Eva at all and you like the way this thing looks, oh, definitely go for it. And I couldn't recommend this thing even more. There's like a few issues with it, with some of the looseness. Like I said, these little hip joints here, I kind of low-key hate that they do these. I personally don't find it does much. You know, again, all it really does is loosen up the kit, you know, necessarily, in my opinion. And again, some of the issues I had with Unit 3, or solved with me building this thing, having more experience. So I just say just pay attention to the steps a bit better and make absolutely sure you're putting everything right, and that'll solve a lot more of those problems. Another thing I forgot to mention is the shoulder here. With you moving this, this is the most wiggle you can really get out of this joint here. You move it any more, the arm's gonna spin off the joint, and then this back piece is gonna come off. So don't move around this little piece under the white stripe of the arm here much, and again, you'll be just fine. But again, rambled on kind of enough, and I think now that kind of lets me come full circle Unit 3, because I didn't really give a final verdict. I kind of did that in the comment section and stuff, but again, you know, I still recommend this guy in Unit 3. Whether you want one or both, I recommend them nonetheless. This is a rare amount of reviews. Thank you guys so much for watching. I thank you so much for the support you gave me on a lot of my unboxings lately. And again, if you haven't, check out some of my mystery boxes. Those give you guys a sneak peek on what I'm going to review next. For example, you might not have seen I had this thing coming if you didn't see my mystery box. So look at those, see what's on them. Let me know if there's anything cool you see me unboxing you want to see a review of. That helps me kind of expedite the reviews on some of these kits I have. So if I haven't built it, I'll get right on building it. Now I'll send a review out right away. So once again, like, comment, and subscribe, and see you for the next review.